Today on the Pew Review, I came to Ongar in Essex to visit St Andrew's Greensted, the oldest wooden church in the world. You don't expect a building that's been here for over 1,000 years to sit this quietly behind a garden gate, but that's exactly the charm of it. These walls are made from whole oak trunks, split and set upright, and they've been standing here since around 1060. Inside, the place feels even older. Archaeology shows there were two earlier churches here, one from the 600s and one from the 700s, right at the moment Christianity first reached this part of Essex. So when you walk up this little nave, you're basically walking through 13 centuries of worship. The ceiling is all timber too. These great heavy Saxon rafters running the length of the nave. They're not decorative at all, just solid beams shaped by hand almost 1,000 years ago. You can still see the uneven cuts where the tools bit into the wood. It's the kind of roof you build when you're thinking about shelter and survival, not style. And the fact that it still holds this place together says everything about how well it was made. Up at the altar, the church switches from timber to stone. That's the Norman chancel, added not long after 1066. It's a really clear moment where you can see the building change from Saxon to Norman in a single step. The Victorians restored a lot of this area in the 1840s, but the shape of the space is still medieval, narrow, simple and built for tiny ritual congregation. Above the altar is this Victorian stained glass window, dedicated to William Smith, who served as church warden here for 25 years. It doesn't overpower the space, it just adds a soft glow around the altar. And just beside it, there's a window of St Andrew, the church's patron, holding his saltire cross. It's a nice reminder that even in a church this small, the iconography is still absolutely spot on. Most of the other windows are much simpler, diamond panes with the little coloured medallions. They let in loads of soft light, which works brilliantly with the dark timber walls. This pair of more decorative, Victorian again with a standing figure on one side and a kneeling figure on the other. You can see the date 1876 tucked into the glass. Then you get to these more symbolic ones, Alpha and Omega on one side and the Chi Rho on the other, some of the earliest Christian symbols, quietly glowing away in a church that predates most of Europe's cathedrals. These two have monograms, JR and SR, probably local families who donated the windows. Victorian churches love their monograms. And finally, these roundels with haloed figures. Again, Victorian, again beautifully done, but still restrained enough not to overwhelm the space. And right at the back, there's this little quatrefoil window. That's the cloverleaf shape windows that you see in lots of medieval churches. And it suits this little church perfectly, I think. The pulpit itself is just simple carved wood. Nothing grand, but perfectly in keeping with the building. And above it is the memorial to Charles Edward Dutton Budworth of the Royal Artillery. He came from a long-established Essex family, several of whom served in the forces, and his memorial sits here quietly among the timber. There was also this gorgeous little wooden font, just again very plain, very simple, and I loved that they had the little saltire cross on the top and on the side as well. I thought that was a nice little touch, a nice little nod to the church's patron. And of course, because this is a proper village church, they even sell jams and sweets at the back. You're basically on your honour to pay for what you've taken, and there's even a little card reader sitting next to it. So of course, I just had to buy something. Outside, the churchyard is as peaceful as the building itself, and right by the entrance is the oldest grave here, a 12th century Crusader, probably a bowman. It's worn almost flat now, but it's incredible to think someone who fought in the Crusades is buried just a few steps from a wooden church that was already old in his lifetime. You know, when you film churches in London, for as peaceful as they are inside, you can always faintly hear the din of the city outside, but you just don't get that here. Only the birds singing in the trees. On a glorious English summer's day, this church was a real treat to visit, and I definitely won't be a stranger. Thank you so much for watching the Pew Review, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.